Welcome to 3 and Out with Jason and Kevin. I am Jason. That is Kevin. We are on YouTube on the Orange and Black Insider. It is us with OBI, which is Anthony Cosenza and then John Sheeran. And then on the Believe Network, our channel is called Believe in Cincy. It is Kevin and I for 3 and Out. It's John and Anthony at OBI. It's Talking Football with Bengal Jim and Friends. And then it's Matt and Willie No Ball. Bengals content pretty much every day. So like, follow, subscribe, the whole deal. Check it out. So there's really great stuff. You don't want to miss it. So we're back again. It's been a couple weeks. We're kind of doing the bi-weekly thing during the off season, unless, we get into something pretty big. But the only things happening right now are Bengals, progressing through their OTAs, and the holdout with Trey Hendrickson continues. And then the holdout with the Shamar Stewart and second round linebacker. Knight continues. The night continues. So yeah. So frustrating stuff, but there's really not a lot going on. So what we thought we would do is give our way too early opinion of what the 53-man roster is going to look like based on their roster today. Now, before we do this, I do have a quick question for you.
Yep.
Do you think they'll add anyone not currently on the roster, or do you think they're done shopping?
I think they're done shopping.
Okay.
We might see one or two camp body type ads, but I do not. The only place I think that we all kind of hoped that they would wise up would be guard, bringing in a vet. Everything I'm hearing, everything I'm seeing, I no longer think that's in the cards.
No. Yeah.
Nope. I think the roster, I think the 53-man is somewhere already in that facility.
Okay. Well, how do you want to do this? Do you want to how do you want to do this? Do you want to do offense to defense? Just do skill position from the line to the line and then out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fine.
Well, let's start with quarterback then. Obviously, nothing real to talk to. Joe Burrow, and Jake Browning. So I don't know what the new rules are on. I know it's like you can have certain players that don't count against the roster at a certain time. We're not really going to worry about that. No notes here. I mean, it's the two guys. It's Joe Burrow and Jake Browning. Jake Browning has, done so. Do you have anything to say?
No.
Do you have anything to say?
There'll only be two quarterbacks with the call-up rules.
Yeah. I think so.
And that's it. So
someone
else will have a third one. Maybe I don't know. Who do you think it'd be? Probably Woodside. But
I would say Woodside or Woodside. Yeah, I can't think of any. Yeah, I think it would have to be him. But again, like we're not really good. We're not going to count him against the 52-man roster or 53-man roster, though, correct?
No, because he's the free call up.
Right.
Yeah, he's the free. It's just worth pointing out because he'll be called up every game with the new rules. All right, want to move on to running back?
Yeah. So I don't know exactly what they're going to do here. Let's just get rid of the ones we know are going to be on the team. Chase Brown, obviously on the team. Samaje Perine, would you agree? Obviously on the team.
Yes.
Okay. What about Zach Moss? How do you feel? Do you think that he's automatically based on the group we have here? He's on the team.
Yeah, this is the thing. I think this is kind of set in stone, if I'm being honest. I don't think there's much opinion here. Okay. Chase Brown, Samaje Perine, they're obviously it. Zach Moss, he got his contract restructured, took a big pay cut.
Yeah.
That means I'm pretty certain he has to be there too. And then Tosh Brooks, 6th-round draft pick, he's it for certain.
So they have 4. Yep.
That's it. There's your 4. I mean, they're not going to run 5.
No. Okay. So there's your 4 running backs. So that brings us to wide receiver, which again, there's really not a ton to talk about, maybe outside of the bottom couple guys. Obviously you got Chase, you got Higgins, we got Andre Yosevich, we have Jermaine Burton, we have Charlie Jones, outside of those guys, there's Cole Burgess, there's Jamoy Mays, Jordan Moore, Rashad Owens, Kendrick Pryor, Mitchell Tinsley, and Isaiah Williams. So what did I say? I said Higgins, Chase, Yosevich, Jones, Burton. That's 5. So
yeah. I think they run with 6.
Okay. So who is it that you think they add in?
You don't think they're going to run? You don't think they're going to run with only 5?
No, I think that there are only 5 surefire guys that are on the roster.
Yes.
I think the 6th could be any one of them, possibly. Well, not anyone. I think maybe one of 2 guys. But I think those 5 are the only. My 2 guys that I think would come. It'd probably come down to between Pryor and maybe Williams. I don't know. What do you think?
I would have said Williams had the lead. There's a lot. Okay. Have you seen all the stuff coming out about Jordan Moore?
Not a ton. No.
Apparently, he's looking really good in camp.
Okay.
So for me, it's Isaiah Williams, but that's almost just like a wide receiver to be inserted later kind of a spot. I know we're like calling it early, so I'm calling it. I'm going to call it Williams.
Okay.
I would not be surprised if it was Pryor. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Burgess. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Jordan Moore. So, kind of roll the dice, take your pick, however you want to put it. But those would be my 6. So those would be my 5 plus 1 additional. We're calling it.
That. All right. So then that brings us to tight end before we get to the offensive line. So Eric All Jr., obviously, we're going to separate him. We're treating him basically as he's not on the team. But we got Mike Gesicki that we know is going to be there. We got Drew Sample that we know is going to be there. I personally think Tanner Hudson is a lock. What do you think?
It's hard,
I think if it wasn't for Eric All's injury, Hudson could not be in there. But I think because of that, it makes room for him.
Yeah. Yeah. You think there's any chance Cam Grandy?
It's possible. I mean, the only person standing in anyone's way is Tanner McLaughlin.
Yeah.
I don't really know. I don't think we really know what they have in him. I don't really know if the Bengals know what they have in him.
They've been talking him up in the offseason, though.
Yeah. I mean, he hasn't been able to get on the field. If Cam Grandy does get in, it'll be over McLaughlin. But what do you think the chances are that they say, you know what, we're good with these 3 guys, and anyone else can just fall in the practice squad, or do you think they'll go with 4?
This is where, and that's the whole point of this exercise.
Right.
This is where I start losing the plot a little bit, if that makes sense. Because I think they run with 4.
Okay.
But I also think that they want to keep 10 linemen.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't find a way to do both.
Okay, well, here's a question for you. What if the way to keep 10 offensive linemen and 4 tight ends is by eliminating the 5th wide receiver spot and making your 6th wide receiver and number 1 tight end Mike Gesicki? I'm not saying they would do that, but if I had to make that call, like if I had to do that, I think that's the only way that's the best way I think you could do it.
Yeah,
is eliminate that.
Gesicki is a wide receiver, yeah,
more than any.
How often do they run with 6 wide receivers?
I think that it's maybe 6 years one way and half dozen the other. You know what I mean? I think they kind of go back and forth. I don't remember. I think they went 5 last year, I think, but I don't really remember. I'm trying to wash last year, like trying to wash it away, the memory.
Sure.
So I don't know. What do you want to do? Do you want to roll with the four tight ends?
Yeah, let's roll with 4 tight ends. I think you're right. I think it's going to be Drew Sample, Mike Gesicki, Tanner Hudson, and Tanner McLaughlin. Mike Gesicki's a wide receiver. Drew Sample's a blocker. Tanner McLaughlin, they've been talking up that he's finally learned how to block, so they want to put him on the field. But those are 3 different tight ends that all have question marks, not necessarily like Gesicki has a question mark because he's not good,
right?
but question mark like, is he even a tight end?
Yeah,
Or Drew
right.
Sample, like, can he be any kind of a receiving threat? Tanner Hudson would be the only one out of those four that like feels like you know exactly what you're getting, and even if it ain't great, I think they're gonna want that.
Yeah.
So I think it's gonna be those four. Yeah.
It is really a shame about Eric All, because the way I see Eric All is the Bengals have like a really good tight end, but it's split into pieces. Like you have the really good receiving aspect of a tight end in Mike Gesicki, but he's not going to block for you. And then Drew Sample is really good blocking tight end, and we love when he catches the ball, but he's not, he's not stretching the field. You know what I'm saying? And if you could just get Eric All on the field, I feel like he's those guys together. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
He's a more capable blocker if he could just stay healthy. All right. That moves us to the offensive line. So how do you want to go from the middle on out, or you want to go left to right? I'll leave that up to you. What do you want to do?
I mean, I think we know
in general. Yeah.
I think we know 4 of these spots. Let's just do it this way. We know for certain who 4 of our starters are, right? We know it's Orlando Brown, Dylan Fairchild, Ted Karras, and Amarius Mims.
Okay.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, probably.
I think they're putting Fairchild out there. I think there's no way he's not starter day one. We can argue all day if that's the smart move, but he's starter day one.
Let's put Lucas Patrick in there so we have our 5 starters.
That's just for now. 5. That's my number 5 as well. Yeah.
Okay.
But I didn't know if that'd be like debatable or not. You know what I mean?
I don't think so. I think he played center, he played guard. He's on the team. He checks all the boxes that they like to be checked.
Yeah.
So then that brings us to our backups. So I think Matt Lee 100% on the team. Sure. I think there's a lot of excitement about Matt Lee.
And he's one of the few of these who sees the field regularly, even as a backup.
Right. Right.
Because again, we've brought this up, but he was out there for a lot of their jumbo stuff.
Yep.
He's absolutely, I think, their future center. And then Cody Ford. Cody Ford is, I mean, he's absolutely like their guy at backup. And then Jalen Rivers, draft pick, a lot of talent. There's no way he doesn't make the team. And now we're sitting at 9. No, now
Cordell Volson's going to make the team. Cordell Volson's going to make the team. He just restructured his contract. He's in. Yeah. So we're sitting at 8.
Yeah.
No,
so that's 9. That's 9.
That's 9. Okay.
Yeah.
The only guy that I was really looking at, the only 2 guys that I was really looking at here. There's probably more than a couple, but one of them is where is he? Jackson Kirkland is one of them.
Yep.
Seth McLaughlin is one of them. Let's see. And then I don't know if there's really any. I think Jalen Rivers could go in as your swing tackle, possibly.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I don't think that. I don't know if I see a guy like Devin Cochran or Andrew Coker or anyone like that. I don't know, man. I think it would come down, if they were going to do 10, I think it would come down between McLaughlin and Kirkland.
But I don't think they're going to do 10. I want to do 10.
Yeah.
I want to do 10. But
yeah,
it becomes a problem. We'll get to this, and if we come back to it, we come back to it. For what I have down here, it becomes a problem once we get to the defensive line, because there's questions and there's depth issues and everything else.
Sure.
And I think they're going to go 10 on the defensive line. So I think we go 9 on the offensive line. And if that's the case, I don't see a spot for Jackson Kirkland or Seth McLaughlin. And that sucks, because I want both of those as backups on the team.
I agree. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll have a couple of those bubble guys. I think that we could, I'll write down those names just because we'll kind of come back to them. Sure. Let's switch over to the defense. I'm at 25 right now. Is that where you're at?
If we're doing 9 on, so let's just real quick. So for right now, we're projecting on the offensive line, Orlando Brown, Dylan Fairchild, Ted Karras, Lucas Patrick, and Amarius Mims, backed up by Cody Ford, backing up every position except center. Jalen Rivers backing as the swing tackle, and Matt Lee backing up center and guard.
Mm-hmm.
And then Cordell Volson, I guess, as a backup guard. I think they think he can probably play a little tackle. I don't think, I mean, he's bad as a guard. He's definitely going to be good as a tackle. But, and those will be our 9. So that is 25.
Yeah, 25. Okay. All right. So on to the defense. How about let's do the same thing. Let's do the 4 starters. But I do want to talk about this. Are we going to, I mean, we're going to just go ahead and assume like it's Trey and Shamar Stewart, contract issues aside right now. Yes. They're going to be on the team. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So why don't we just do the 4 starters as they should be if everybody signed, right?
Sure.
Which would be Trey, BJ Hill, TJ Slayton, I guess.
Yep.
You think? TJ Slayton and I guess Shamar Stewart. Okay. And then I know outside, the defensive end guys, the edge rushers that will be on the team no matter what. Miles Murphy will be there.
Yep.
Joseph Osai will be there.
Yep.
I feel like they're going to come down where they're going to choose between Cedric Johnson and Cam Sample. What do you think?
I hate this. I absolutely hate this, but I think it's Cedric Johnson.
Yeah.
Cam Sample's coming off that injury.
Right.
I really like Cam Sample. Cam Sample to me is like your ideal backup. You know what I mean? Like he can play kind of all over the field a little bit. He's always been good enough. But I don't know how much they trust that injury in a backup, especially considering he won't really get the snaps to prove that he's come back. So I would say it's Cedric Johnson, and I'd say Cam Sample's out.
Okay. So that gives us, with the starters and then 2 extra edge rushers, that gives us 7. And then you throw in McKinley Jackson and Chris Jenkins, your backup defensive tackles. I don't know how. I think that's it on the defensive line. I think that's 9. Is there anyone that I left out that you think, oh yeah, they're going to be on the team?
Maybe not.
The only way is if they do Cam Sample and Cedric Johnson. That would be 10.
Right.
So
what about Howard Cross?
I don't know. I kind of I think that they're very happy with the 4 defensive tackles.
Yeah.
That I mentioned. I think that they're happy with those guys. Now, do you want to say, hey, they'll keep Cedric Johnson and Cam Sample? I mean, you can't have too many good pass rushers. You can't. It's not possible. And that would give us 10.
Well, then so here's the question, right?
Or do you just want to add Cam Sample to those bubble guys?
Well, let's figure out what we're doing here, and maybe right, because do you want this scenario? Do you want Cam Sample, or do you want, let's say, Seth McLaughlin?
Yeah, if you're choosing between, I don't know. That'd be tough. It'd have to. Yeah, I don't know. On one hand, you feel like you could get in and you could use a guy like Sample. He could be productive for you. On the other hand, you want, we really like this center that we drafted, McLaughlin, but like, if everything goes well, he'll never get on the field. You know what I mean? Like, if everything goes right, he shouldn't play. So do you really want to give a roster spot to someone who's a 3rd string center just because he fell into your lap? No. So I think it has to go to Sample. If you're maximizing for championship right now, it'd have to go to Sample. And then they release McLaughlin and he's gone probably. He doesn't clear waivers, is my guess.
So. You're right. They got no place for me. I see. That's the problem. This is where it hurts, because I was so excited when we picked up McLaughlin. I really was. And I just don't think he's got a spot on this team, because Matt Lee is your backup center and he's your center of the future. So are you going to, you're right. Are you going to keep Seth McLaughlin, somebody who was hurt, who didn't even get drafted, to be your 3rd center?
instead of having an extra pass rusher.
Instead of having an extra pass rusher who can actually
contribute.
Yeah. All right. So Cam Samples in.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So that's 10. In. And let's move back to linebacker. I think this one's pretty cut and dry. I don't really see much to talk with or much to talk about. Obviously, where is he? Okay, Logan Wilson, obviously on the team. Jermaine Pratt's on the roster right now. I do not think that he will be on the roster once the season starts. Do you? Do you think there's any chance?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I would have told you he'd be gone weeks ago.
Yeah. I know.
I think the question for Pratt is let's do this first. Can we agree that it is Logan Wilson, Demetrius Knight, Barrett Carter, and Oren Burks? Those are 4.
Yes.
And do you think they're probably going to keep 5? Right. That's where you're at.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think they could roll with 4, but 2 of those guys are rookies. Man, I don't know. That's tough.
That's what I'm saying. You can't have. They're going to have to do 5. Yeah,
I think they would have to do 5. But I just don't see. I also don't see how that relationship gets repaired. Now, so if it's not Jermaine Pratt, is it Shaka Hayward? Is it Maimon Njongmeta?
If it's me, I really liked what I saw out of Njongmeta.
Okay, all right.
He would be my 5th, but I think there is an outside chance that Jermaine Pratt is still on the team and still a starter.
Yeah.
Because it's only because I don't know why they would do it. I don't know how you repair that relationship.
Right.
But why is he still here?
Oh yeah, I don't get it at all. I don't understand it at all.
Why is he still here? I don't understand it.
No, I don't understand
it. The only answer I have for that is maybe they're trying to keep him.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I have no idea. Okay, I'll tell you what. How about we'll just stay kind of quiet on what happens with Jermaine Pratt, but we'll add a 5th linebacker and we'll call it Maimon Njongmeta, and then that'll give us 5 linebackers. So 15 in the first.
I think that is the most likely option. I just wanted to point out that
it's possible.
I become less and less convinced I know what's going on with Pratt as the days go by. Like
the possible that he's the fact that he's still here, it just makes no sense. So all right, and then that moves us back to the defensive backfield or defensive backs. How about we do corners first and then safeties? So corners, we know. Obviously, we know. Hold on a second here. Sorry, we know Cam Taylor-Britt.
Yep.
We know DJ Turner. We know Dax Hill.
Yep.
We know Josh Newton.
Yep.
We know who else?
I'd say as far as that's it.
Yeah. Okay.
I think DJ Ivy is almost certainly going to make the team.
I would agree with that. I think that he's in there. And then I think that there might be one more. And if there is one more, I don't Jalen Davis, he's been back up in the slot for so long, and Mike Hilton is officially gone. It just makes sense to me to have him there. You know what I mean?
Sure. What about Marco Wilson, though?
I know, man. I know. One of those guys is going to go. But if it's me and because right now I think that what they're thinking is Dax Hill is going to step up and be the slot corner, but I really have no clue what's going to happen there. And you're going from having one of the most reliable guys in Mike Hilton in the defensive backfield period over the last few years to having nobody that we're familiar with playing there other than Jalen Davis. You know what I mean? That's why to me it's Davis. So I don't know.
And you don't think that well, it's not a direct 1-for-1 kind of a comparison. You don't think that they're kind of trying to fill that Mike Hilton role with the linebackers?
They could be.
From here on
They
out.
really could be. I really don't know.
And I could see Demetrius Knight stepping into that kind of a role pretty readily.
Yeah, there's so many variables because of we're going from not just different personnel, but we're going from Lou Anarumo to Al Golden. So we don't really know what we're going to have at all. So I think it could be either way. I could see a possibility where they just say, hey, we're happy with these 5. We're not going to go with 6. Ivy or not Ivy, but Jalen Davis and Marco Wilson. If you're in Bengals, you'll be in practice squad.
I feel like there's no reality in which they run with 5 cornerbacks.
No, I agree.
If only because of the nightmare that was last year.
Yeah.
They are going to be very scared about injuries, and they are absolutely keeping 6. I think it's a question between Marco Wilson and Jalen Davis is all it comes down to.
I personally think it's Davis, but that's just because of the familiar face. But again, a new defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So that's different. I think maybe because of the fact that it's a new defensive coordinator, Jalen Davis playing in that slot position, maybe that's redundant. Maybe they don't need that. Maybe Al Golden doesn't need that, and that's all that he does. Marco Wilson is more versatile. Maybe I could see. Yeah. Let's do that. You do Marco Wilson there?
I think it's Marco Wilson.
Okay.
I do.
All right. And then that brings us to safeties. Now we've put ourselves in a position here where we basically have to stick with 4 safeties, and that's it. Which I don't think is, and that's pretty much typically what they do. Yeah. At this point, we know Geno Stone. We know Jordan Battle. I think that we could agree that it will be Tycen Anderson and Dejon Anthony. But
yeah,
is there anybody else that you can think of?
I mean, that's this one isn't like. Do I think Tycen Anderson and Dejon Anthony are so good that they should be assured a roster spot? Absolutely not. But who else you gonna put there, man?
This is one of the only positions. Yeah, I think this is maybe the only position other than guard that I could see you could really use an upgrade, especially if the version of Geno Stone we get this year is what we got through the majority of last year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The only safety I'm confident in is Jordan Battle.
Yeah.
It's the only safety I'm confident in this group. So, all right. And then it's worth 3 specialists.
Yeah, those four that puts it in stone. Like those 4 you can put in stone. Out the gate,
I agree.
It really is those 4. Not the most inspiring group. I do like Jordan Battle. And I like Tycen Anderson and Dejon Anthony for what they do and what they represent. But they don't thrill you. You know what I mean? They're fine. I really would like another body in there.
I agree.
And we're not going to get it. So, there's the specialists.
And that's easy. That's Evan McPherson, Ryan Rakow, and Cal Adamitis. That's, I think, the only.
Are we certain about Cal Adamitis?
Are you thinking William Wagner instead?
I am kind of thinking William Wagner instead.
I don't know. I mean, the kicking game struggled last year. I don't know. I don't know if I don't know. I mean, I spent 3 hours watching a bunch of Evan McPherson misses and a bunch of Evan McPherson makes last year. And what I gleaned from watching all that is I have no idea what makes it good. I couldn't pigeonhole it and say, look, at the snaps, they were bad. They didn't look bad. It just looked like it was just inconsistency. I don't know if they want to mess with it too much. You know what I mean? But again, I could see it either way. I'm going to go with Cal Adamitis just because they seem hesitant to change quickly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's just me. What are you? I don't know if you're hearing. Have you heard anything like William Wagner? They like him or anything? Or
no. It's just that he was. I mean.
Yeah,
and I have no ability to judge this at all because same with you. It all looks almost the same to me. These really specialist positions get that way.
Sure.
But everybody said he was the best long snapper in college last year. William Wagner was, and something is wrong with that unit. You know what I mean? Something's wrong with it, and they're not going to lose McPherson, and they're not going to lose Rico.
Yeah,
Rico. So I kind of think that there's at least
I could see that being the case
because they're going to want to mix something up.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I can see that being the case.
Cal Adamitis has had his problems. It's not he's like a lock. He's never felt like a lock.
Right.
So I think it's William Wagner. If I really had to guess, I think they're going to try to mix it up, and long snapper feels like the safest place to do that.
I'll take that. I'll run that way. You know, what's funny is they're willing to shake up the position, and they have Darren Simmons has been the special teams coach in Cincinnati for 500 years, and he will be the special teams coach in Cincinnati when the world ends.
Yes.
So, all right. So that's our 53. We have 25 offense, 25 defense, and then our 3 specialists. I think if there's any variation from what we talked about, it'll be at those extra positions we talked about. Do they want 5 tight ends? Do they want, 6 here, 5 here, 4 here, whatever it is. I could see the possibility of saying, hey, you know what? We're not going to take 6. We have the best wide receivers in the league. We don't need 6. You know what I mean? We got Chase, we got Higgins, we have these few guys. We're going to take 5, and then we're going to add another safety, another edge rusher, another defensive tackle, somebody. So if I had to guess of which side was going to lose one, it would be offense, just because wide receiver, I feel like they don't really need 6. But, you know, there's only a couple of these positions that are written in stone. Quarterback, like you said, safety, pretty much the way the team's built. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Other than that, I'd say there's 3 roster spots, 3-4 roster spots that are kind of able to be tossed back and forth that are up for grabs. Is that where you're at? 3 maybe?
I mean, that's what it is. We do these exercises and run through it, but you could do this exactly. It's more fun to kind of look at the team as a whole, in my opinion. That's why I like doing it this way. But we could have easily titled this episode like the 7 bubble players.
Yeah.
And do we think they'll make the team? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if 7 literally, but you know what I mean? They'll be like 1 wide receiver. We're going to talk about Tanner Hudson. We're going to talk about Jackson Kirkland.
Yep.
And you could very easily spin this, like the content of this episode that way.
Sure. Absolutely.
But it just feels less interesting to me than to kind of just like, look at the Bengals as a whole. A lot of this is less an exercise and trying to figure out like who those final spots are going to be, and more just like, hey, we're going into the next season. Let's take a step back and let's just look at the team. Let's just look at what we got. You know, let's refresh ourselves. Like, let's be a little objective here. And I think we did that. I wish we had 1 more spot, but I kind of feel like every team wishes.
I think everybody does that. Yeah. I think I agree with you. I think at the end of the day, they're going to go into the meeting room and they're going to say, hey, we have 3 spots and there are 7 guys that we like, that each one could have an argument made that they deserve one of those spots. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think that's how it's going to be. So, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see how it plays out. So they don't do it in stages anymore. Now it's just one big cut at the end of the
I don't love that.
Which I don't
love that.
Me neither. I don't like it either. So, well, we'll be back in a couple weeks. Hopefully, when we come back, Hendrickson will be signed and with the team. But I'm not holding my breath. Again, we are on YouTube on the Orange and Black Insider. It's us, and it's Anthony and John at OBI. And then on the Believe Network, the channel is Believe in Cincy. That's BLEAV. It's us, it's OBI, it's Talking Football with Bengal Jim and Friends, and it's Matt and Willie No Ball. Great Bengals content every single day. Like, subscribe, follow the whole thing. Kevin, thank you very much again, man. I'll talk to you in a couple weeks. Who dat?
Good. Who dat?